In the repair shop today, Susie is tasked with preserving a slice of long-lost London.
How he used this hat for 40+ years. I am very, very surprised that it's still in one piece.
And a masterclass in wood-carving craftsmanship, as Will gets a little hoarse, looking champion again.
You can easily get carried away and carve off too much wood. Once it's gone, it's really hard to put back.
But first, Cyndy and Jack Lessing from Essex have brought a precious heirloom rooted in their family traditions. Assigned to its restoration, Kirsten Ramsay.
Hello, hi, welcome.
Hello.
I'm Kirsten.
For you.
Thank you very much.
Pleased to meet you. Jack and Cyndy Lessing.
Lovely to meet you. What have you got here?
Well, a very sad-looking, previously in one-piece Venetian glass Kiddish cup, but now not looking at its best.
What is a Kiddish cup?
Every Friday, when we welcome in the Sabbath, which is a day of rest, we light candles, make a blessing over wine and over bread.
Right.
And those three things are called Kiddish. We have all our family and in-laws on a Friday night, and it's just family time.
That sounds
Family
lovely.
and friends.
And because it's a special day, we use a special goblet, and that's what this is. Was.
Well, I mean, it clearly still is.
Yeah.
I'll have a look if I may.
Oh,
Please,
please do.
Please do.
Yeah.
Goodness, it's in a lot of pieces, isn't it? Where does this come from?
Well, it's from Venice, and an artisan in the Jewish quarter was hand decorating these beautiful Venetian glass Kiddish cups. With our son's bar mitzvah coming up in 18 months, we thought, what a great gift to commemorate that.
Wonderful.
He was 13 when he got it. Some years later, I was putting the Kiddish cup back into a glass-fronted cabinet. Unfortunately, it collided with the glass shelf, so it was now in pieces all over the carpet, and I did the only thing I could do. I cried.
I rushed in and saw glass everywhere, and just hands and knees picked up all of the pieces, put them in the box, and they've stayed in that box ever since.
Really? So how long ago was that?
About 25 years.
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious. Wow.
Yeah.
So how old is your son now?
He's 50.
50. OK. Do you know if all the pieces are here?
Gosh, we hope so.
So it's beautifully made. I can see the craftsmanship there. And the images are of...
That image is of a father blessing his son, which happens most Friday nights for most Jewish parents. And on the other side of the goblet, there's Richard's Hebrew name, written in Hebrew, Chaim, which means life.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Underneath there's a little inscription from us to him as a gift on his bar mitzvah.
It would just be so special. Firstly, it would be reparation for my misdeeds, but more importantly, it would be wonderful for Richard to be able to have the Kiddish cup back for his sons, who will be coming up to bar mitzvah.
I think this is so beautiful and I am itching to get my fingers on it. Unfortunately, glass is quite tricky, I have to say.
Just to have it whole would be marvellous.
Well, I shall certainly try my best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank
leave
you.
it with you.
Yes, do. All right.
Bye.
I'll be in
Bye-bye.
touch. Bye.
Bye.
The Kiddish cup is very important to us because it's part of our culture. It would be really good to have it back in the family as good as possible so that we can pass it back to our son and then he can pass it on to his son and we can create a modern heirloom for our family.
I love glass and I love colour, so I'm absolutely in my element here with this. My first impressions looking at this is glass is always an incredible challenge. It's very difficult to make it look invisible. It's always difficult to make up missing parts, especially in something that's blue glass. So I'm really hoping that Cyndy and Jack have managed to pick up all the pieces. First things first, I'm going to just give this a clean. Cleaning is a great opportunity just to look at what you're working with. I do hope that I can get it together and whole again, and that it can be brought back into their family ritual on a Friday. We will see.
From one family tradition to another, Nicole Howe from Essex has brought a fascinating item that's a link to a bygone era for leather expert Susie Fletcher.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
I'm Jay, and you are?
I'm Nikki.
That looks well wrapped up in there. Can we have a look what it is?
This is a bobbin hat. These were worn by the porters at the old Billingsgate Fish Market in London, and they used to carry boxes of fish on their heads.
Who did that belong to? Not yours, is it?
No, it was my granddad's, my dad's dad.
Okay.
Not everybody could afford them. They were very expensive. So a lot of the porters would stuff out their flat caps with paper and then use that to carry the boxes on their heads. But this was my granddad's.
So they would carry these boxes, and I've been to the market, and those boxes are full of ice, and they've got fish in them as well.
Yeah.
So how many? Well, they have one box on top of their head.
They've been known to carry up to 3. My granddad has carried 3, and they weighed 6 stone each. So he was carrying 18 stone on his head.
You must have been a big, strong man.
He was 5'2".
God.
When he used to have his barrow all full of boxes of fish, they said that he looked like a block of flats.
Wow.
There were a lot of characters down there. You know, the porters, they were like an elite band of men. Right. They were cheeky. The language was often quite ripe. But yeah, he had a good time down there. He was there for 43 years, had a good life from it.
So he was carrying the boxes for that long?
Yeah, real hard graft. Apart from when he was in the war, he went to war for the whole 6 years.
Okay.
And he went straight back to the market again.
Yeah, he was a proper grafter.
Oh, I mean, the guy that used to take over from my granddad when he was on holiday used to say he couldn't wait for him to come back. He just didn't understand how he did it.
Amazing.
He sounds like a good man.
He was a real family man. He was as soft as anything, as long as nobody upset him.
What's your granddad's name?
His name was Alexander, but everybody knew him as Harry.
Did your dad ever go down to the markets and see his dad working?
My dad actually worked down there himself in the old market. It's almost the whole family. My granddad, my dad, my uncle, my brother-in-law, my husband and my cousin have all worked there.
Wow.
Really?
It's amazing. I'm just looking at this construction from here and just going, my word, that must be so solid.
It's really heavy as well.
Is it?
It weighs over 3 pounds.
Oh, wow. That is really heavy. I can't imagine having this on your head all day. Goodness me.
How come you've got this?
Well, after my granddad passed away, it came to my dad, and my dad's had it ever since. He just absolutely idolised his dad, and to be able to see this thing that was his brought back, it would just mean the world to him.
Nikki, thank you for bringing this in and taking me back down memory lane.
Yeah, and I am really, really looking forward to getting my hands on it and getting started.
OK, thank you.
You take care now.
Bye-bye.
OK,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
To get the hat repaired, it means such a lot because it's part of the tapestry of London. You know, there are none of the old porters. The London market that used to be there is no longer there anymore. It's so fragile, it's almost gone.
Old Billingsgate Wharf had been a fish market for centuries and was at one time the biggest in the world. But in 1982, the old market was closed, meaning its unique traditions were consigned to the history books.
This is quite remarkable. As a hat, I'm thinking how uncomfortable this looks. It is so hard, the leather, and we've got really sharp edges here. I'm also seeing there's some whopping great big nails sticking out here. However, Harry wore it for 40+ years, and I'm sure it became as familiar as a pair of shoes. It's in pretty poor condition. The crown is coming away, and I've got to figure out how to reattach this crown. The cracks around here are just where the leather has shrunk away from where it's butted up, and it is incredibly dirty. So the very first thing I need to do is start to give it a really good clean. With something of this age, the reality is it's not going to look brand new, nor should it. My vision is that it will be in a refreshed, preserved state where this can be kept for the family to tell the story of Harry's incredible life in Billingsgate Market.
With the dozen or so fragile fragments of the sacred Kiddish cup now squeaky clean, Kirsten now faces the nerve-wracking task of piecing them back together.
I've been skirting around the next stage, which is by far the most difficult, trying to assemble this. It's just really tricky because it slips and it slides. The one good thing is that I've got decoration on this, so I have got bits that I can use to aid me to find where these sections go. Right, deep breath. I'm going to use tape to hold things in place. What I don't want is for them to suddenly fall down, because obviously more damage could happen. I'm just going by feel, really. Incredibly fiddly. That's the first piece on. It's really lovely to have the opportunity to work on something like this, and it's a real privilege to hear about different people's cultures and religions through objects like this. Right, next piece. See if that looks like it goes there. It does. There is a very small little chip missing in here, and I'm wondering if it could be this little shard I've got. Oh, it is. Now I've got to keep it there. I'm going to use a little bit of wax. So I've got this which melts the wax, and it means that you can just pick up a really tiny bit and you can just drop it onto the glass and drag it across, join, and that just tacks it in place. Feels a bit like surgery. So this is the final piece now going in. It's not that easy. I don't want to knock any of the other bits out. So nerve-wracking. I'm just preparing the adhesive for bonding. I'm using a specialist glass adhesive. You have to measure it out quite precisely, so that's why I'm using these scales. And I don't want to mix up the wrong quantities because that stops the adhesive from curing. So I'm just going to be working my way round the cup, really making sure I don't miss any tiny little cracks, and then waiting for it to harden.
Arriving next at the barn is Marjorie Enu from Essex, with a very special friend in need of Will Kirk's woodwork expertise.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
So what have we got under the blanket?
Well, this is Toby Horse. He's very old.
Very interesting.
Oh.
As you can see, he's been played with a lot when we were all little. He had a handle that went up here.
Oh, I see. So
Yes. So we toddled along behind him.
So how did you get Toby Horse?
Well, my granddad made him for me when I was little.
Made him?
Yes, he was a carpenter.
That's a nice grandfather.
Yeah. So it was because it was just after the war, because both my mum and dad were in the WAF and the RAF. They got married on the 1st of June 1944. When Mum was demobbed, because she was 6 months pregnant with me, she went to live with Nan and Grandad. And in July 45, I was born.
Excellent.
Living with Nan and Grandad, I suppose that made it sort of, I was the first granddaughter.
Yeah.
And, he was a carpenter, so he made Toby for me. Because I've always known Grandad made him for me, I suppose that's why he's been so special. Bless him.
No. Could you tell us a little bit about your granddad?
Oh, he had a lovely little twinkle in his eye.
You didn't have to take him seriously.
No.
Just looking at your smile when you talk about your granddad, and it just sounds like, there was a lot of love and a lot of joy there. Very special. Yeah.
He was a lovely man. Sadly, he'd only been retired a couple of years when he died. Gosh. I was only in my early 20s, and it was just so sad.
What has inspired you to come down today?
Well, I left home when I was 20, and he sort of came with me, and he's been in the loft over the years, each time I've moved. If he was looking smart again, he could live downstairs instead of going back in the loft.
Yes, yeah.
And then perhaps, somebody in the family might like him when I can bear to part with him. But I'm not parting with him yet.
Don't blame you.
Good.
I wouldn't. I would hang on to him.
What would you like us to do?
It's just that he'd look a bit smarter, and all these sort of cracks and a bit of hair. I don't know what you can do.
So, did Toby have a mane or a longer tail, or did he always have this?
I think he had just a little hair in there, sort of, that went down. Yes.
OK.
The only photo we could find was one of my brothers, and he was about a year old. And, of course, he looked a bit better then.
I can see that it's slightly chipped around the back of the neck there.
Yes. Anything you think?
I can see the potential. He's such a handsome chap. And I'm sure that we can get him looking smart once again.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you for coming down, and we'll see you soon.
Right, behave,
Okay.
Toby.
We'll look after him. Don't worry.
Thanks.
OK,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Because Grandad made him, he's so special. And I've always had Toby in my life, I suppose, but I know he's in safe hands.
I love Toby. He has very sweet eyes. They're quite sad, but maybe he's sad because he's in a bad state. He's missing a push-along handle. He's missing a bit of the mane on the front, very small tail on the back, and there are lots of splits. And I think that's because he has been made from 5 different separate pieces of wood. The top half would be one solid piece of wood, and then the legs would be 4 separate pieces. I think that as time has gone on, the wood has slightly shrunk, and then that gap where the leg meets the torso, it's pulled apart. So the first thing I need to do is clean up those grooves there and glue in some new veneer. I often use veneer for these hairline cracks. There we are, really nice tight fit. And once it's dry, I can sand it down and repaint it. But in the meantime, I've got the splits in the face and the rest of the legs to work with.
After 40+ years of being battered by boxes of fish, Susie is making a start and saving the parched bobbin hat from further decay.
The thing with older leather is if you allow it to get too dry, it simply turns to dust. What I want to do is go over it with some leather preserving cream. The leather is absorbing this cream very readily. I can already see a glimmer of what it's going to look like when I've finished, and hopefully Nikki will be very pleased with it. I've got the bobbin hat hydrated, and while I was working on it, I was able to see how loose this crown is to the brim. So it would be helpful if I could take the whole of this crown off and then put it all back together. But to do that, I'm going to have to undo these tacks here at the back, and in experience of working with old dry leather, as soon as you try to undo anything, it can just snap off. So I'm really quite concerned as to how this is going to go. There's only one way to find out. It's moving. Nice. Oh, look at that. Now I can just get in there, give it a twist and pull that one out. Perfect. Couple more to do. Thank you. See if it'll come apart now. Haha. Brilliant. Now I've got the brim detached from the crown, I can see a little bit more as to how this was originally constructed, and it was very well attached together with a combination of stitching and nails. When you think about all the weight that went on Nicky's grandfather's head, he would need something that was really solid. The issue I have is I'm unable to sew it all back together because I've got this band in the way and I daren't remove it because I could cause extra damage. But what I'm going to do is reattach this brim using tacks, because I feel that that's the best way to make a secure connection without overly stressing the old leather. I've got to slide it under this old repair, which the leather is really hard. If I can line those old tack holes up, that looks about right. I'm just going to put these roundels into the large nail holes, just so that I know that I'm really lining everything up how it originally was. The tack, and then I'm just going to tap it. Just tap, 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 tap. I can actually see what I'm doing. It's really awkward. Oh, already, look at that. Beginning to resemble a hat again. Very happy with how it's going so far. Well, that's really secure. It's worked a lot better than I was expecting it to. Just leaves me to fill in the area around here that's cracked away. So this leather paste I make from fibres of scrap pieces of leather, and I mix them with this glue that I use. You couldn't use this on anything that would have to move and flex. But because this is solid leather, this is a perfect application for it. Once it's dried, I can stain over to match the leather around it.
Also striving for a flawless finish, Kirsten. Against all odds, she's managed to rebuild the shattered Kiddish cup. Now she must attempt to make her repairs invisible.
I've got this tiny little chip here to the rim, which is a great shame, but I'm going to fill that with a small amount of adhesive, and I'm going to add a tiny little bit of blue colourant to it. I'm just going to tip this and pop that in. Just have to be quite careful not to get any air bubbles in this, because they would stand out like a sore thumb. I'm just going to let that cure now, and I'm just going to try and lose some of these lines that go through the gold decoration, and I'm using a gold powder with a small amount of adhesive just to go over these joins. And I'm hoping that I will lose that thin line into the gold. That's almost ready to go back to Jack and Cyndy to once again be part of their Friday night traditions.
This symbolic glass goblet was gifted to a young boy by his loving parents and played a pivotal role in their Friday night ritual. Cyndy and Jack are now eager to see if Kirsten's managed to make their cherished cup whole once again.
I am so excited. I can't tell you, I am so excited. To have the Kiddish cup back will be amazing.
Kirsten will have to have worked miracles with this one, that's for sure.
Hello.
Hi.
Lovely to see you, Jack and Cyndy.
And you?
How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing fine.
And what are you hoping is underneath that box?
Oh, I'm hoping it's looking a bit more as it used to. That would be so special.
You ready to see it?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, please.
Let's do the honors.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, that is astonishing.
That is amazing. Words fail me. It's
That is
just amazing.
You can touch it, you can hold it.
Look, the gold, the pictures, everything. You can't even see a join.
It's just fabulous. I'm putting it back, I'm shivering. I'm shaking. I'm actually shaking.
Oh.
How does it feel to hold it again?
It just reminds me of how excited I was when we first saw it in Venice. When we bought this for Richard, it was going to be his Kiddish cup. When it got broken, shattered dreams, truly. And to see it now, it's like rebirth. And this is going to be part of that history that will get passed down through the generations.
So it's history, tradition,
It's-
culture,
yeah, it's-
everything, a religion.
Absolutely.
So every Friday night it's going to come out.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it was clearly precious, and your reaction is just beautiful.
Well, we're going to get this packed up for you.
Lovely. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you so much.
Oh, it's just marvellous.
Look at that.
Look at that.
There's your cup. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'd truly forgotten how beautiful it was.
It took my breath away. It was a very emotional moment for me. I think all of our history our personal history, the history of the Kiddish cup itself, our son, our grandchildren, and to have it back in one piece is just phenomenal.
Wood Whiz Will is galloping ahead with his repair on Toby, the little wooden horse.
Well, I'm having a look at Toby's ears, and I've just realised what I thought was a wobbly piece of wood is actually a piece of filler. Oh, yeah, the filler's out. That was quick. Gosh, that crack is really deep. Right, so I'm going to clean out the rest of that filler inside the ear and patch in a new piece of wood. Well, all the wooden blocks have now dried, and I can start carving back in that missing detail. One of the handy things is that there's still a lot of the original ears there, so that gives me a really good indication as to the rest of the shape of the ears. So I'm going to just follow that contour around the backs of the ears, then I can work on the finer detail. Now, one of the tricky things about carving is you can easily get carried away and carve off too much wood, so you really need to stop when you can, take a look, make sure that you're on track, because once it's gone, it's really hard to put back. I'm just touching in the newly carved piece of wood. I've also given him a bit of a clean to really show me the true colours of the paintwork underneath. I don't want to repaint Toby entirely. I quite like the sort of worn areas because he's been used and he's been loved. But there are a few bits where the paint has chipped off, and they are the areas I'm touching back in. I'm using some shellac polish mixed with some pigments to start to build up that colour. The more time that I spend with Toby, the more that I love him. I think he deserves a bit of TLC, because I know that he's going to be truly loved again. This base coat is going on really well. Got a really nice colour match here. I'm going to do the same with the rest of the damage on Toby, and once that's dried, I can finish off with the finer detail. Well, Toby has been cleaned, and I've touched up all the scratch and damaged paintwork. Now it's time to replace his handle. The great thing is Marjorie has given me this picture here, which is a great reference of what the handle used to look like. If I didn't have that, I'd have absolutely no idea. I've got some really nice wood cut up here. I've now put the sides of the handle on. I just need to make the actual handle. Looking at the picture, you can see that it was almost doweled on either side, so rather than putting a screw in, I'm going to make another dowel because it's in keeping with the original and it's going to add extra strength. Now that I've created the middle part of the handle, I just need to drill 2 holes on the side pieces, bit of glue, slot that together, we've got a handle.
Across the barn, Susie is winning her battle to preserve the leather bobbin hat and is ready to apply some finishing touches.
Now the filler has sat, it's really come together nicely and it's nice and solidly reattached to the crown. And I'm using a spirit stain. Just want it to blend in to the surroundings. So it's looking good. And the final thing I need to do before I give it back to Nikki is go over it with a black reconditioning cream. And that should just help freshen it up and also preserve it for the future and give it a little bit of a shine as well.
Years of hard graft at the bygone Billingsgate Fish Market had left Nicole's grandfather's bobbin hat weathered and worn.
Suze, you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Now she's hoping that this little bit of London history has been brought back to life.
I talked to my dad quite a lot about the work that my granddad did and how very hard that he'd worked. This is a part of London's history that isn't there anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. So it's very important.
Hello, Nikki.
Hiya.
Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you.
How you feeling?
Excited.
Yeah?
I don't know what you've been able to do because it was so cracked. I just hope that perhaps it's got a little bit of its integrity back.
Yeah. Well?
Well,
Do you want to show us this?
yes. Ready?
I am.
Okay.
Oh, goodness me. You've worked marvellously on this. Goodness, I've forgotten how heavy it was.
It is, isn't it?
It was crusty and dusty and just, it looked so old, whereas now it still looks old, but clean and, you know, it just looks fantastic. Thank you.
The most important thing that I felt I needed to do was to get it into a really clean condition and make it stable again, so that, you know, you and your family can continue to keep your grandfather's memory alive.
The old market is gone completely. It's just financial buildings now.
Okay.
So this being repaired is part of the fabric of London's history.
Yeah. So your dad's going to be made up when he sees this.
I think he's going to be very emotional.
So it's yours now to take home. Show your dad.
Yeah, I can't wait to see his face. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nikki.
Bye-bye.
Take
Take care
care.
now.
Bye-bye.
That's a good one.
It's nice, really
I like
nice.
My dad is going to be absolutely over the moon with this. It's just incredible. I can't believe what Susie's done to it. From a crusty old relic to what it is now, it's just marvellous what she's done.
In the final furlong of his assignment, Will's using genuine horsehair to bring Toby's thinning locks up to the same standard as his well-groomed paintwork.
Well, that's the tailing, just the forelock to go on, the handle to go back on, the wheels, a little bit of a haircut, and I can get him back to Marjorie. You're feeling on your holidays?
Toby was a memento of a beloved grandfather, but only fit to be put out to pasture. Now Marjorie is looking forward to being reunited.
It's just going to be wonderful to see him looking a lot better than he was, because he had got a little dilapidated over the years. I am definitely feeling excited. Hello.
Hello, Marjorie. What are you hoping to see underneath the blankets?
I don't really know, but I'm sure he'll look better than he did.
Right, would you like to see?
I would like to, yes. He's got hair. It's only... That is amazing. The cracks... Oh, they're all gone. Oh, isn't he lovely? That is amazing. Oh, thank you ever so much. He's not actually cuddly, but he is really to me. Oh.
I have really loved working on him because I can see so much work that your granddad had taken to sort of making him in the beginning, and I know that he's very special to you.
Gosh, yes. I could see him sort of smiling now, Grandad. That's really lovely. It's how I remember him from a child, yes. Let's hope there's some more little ones that he can teach to walk. Is it a horse's hair as well?
That is real horsehair, yeah.
Gosh, I can't remember him with a tail for a long while. That's brilliant. That's really lovely. You're very grateful, aren't you? Can I take him home now?
You can indeed. I'll get the door for you.
Thank you. Cool, I think he's heavier. He's put on weight since he's been here. Haven't you? Thank you ever so much. He's absolutely amazing. It's reminding me of, you know, when we were children and staying with Nan and Grandad, and they were such lovely grandparents, they really were. Just such lovely times to remember.